Many people have asked me in the comments, not just on YouTube, but also on X, are we at the top for crypto? Many people have been asking me what I think about other content creators in the space and XRP. They also want to know if I think we're going to see a big capitulation event or if the bear market is coming. I think the best answer is that nobody knows what to do next. I am not going to be able to tell you for sure what will happen next. That's not going to be possible to guess. I will say this though, I don't think we are topped out. However, I don't think this market has reached a point where we need to fear or worry about the top just yet. When it comes to finance in general and the market in particular, I know that things aren't going so well right now. There's some worry here. This is another reason why I keep saying that a big bear market will begin in 2026. After about the first quarter of 2026, I really do see a bear market beginning. And I don't think the market will really just keep exploding all the way through March 2026. But, I think 2026 will be the start of a huge bear market because once more, that will be the beginning of the first quarter. But I also think this market is following what happened in 2017 and 2018. Not exactly, right? For example, the price of old coins is not going to reach a peak in January or something like that. There is a time range where we do top though. I think it's between January and March. That time frame is exactly what I'm looking at right now. I don't think we stretch all the way, as I said. So, how is the market doing on a weekly basis? It looks great. On a daily basis? Not really. Okay. The old coin market is beginning to, chop up a bit. It's not too crazy. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yesterday gold hit a new all-time high. And I believe that money is your best friend if you want to ride the waves of both the rare metals market and the crypto market. Not only do they trade crypto, but they also trade gold and silver. You could use the IRA side of I Trust Capital to make sure that your portfolio has both crypto and valuable metals. Both are also part of elite custody accounts. You can use my link to enter $1,000 and get a free exclusive $100 funding bonus right now if you want to get in on this. You can find it in the description and in the comments below. Now, what do you wait for? Sign up right now. Now that we've said that, let's watch the movie again. 122K is still where Bitcoin is. We're going to talk about that. When it comes to Bitcoin, XRP is just under $3 and Ethereum is still around $45. The weekly candle close is the most important thing to look at here. In fact, there is some resistance around the prices at which Bitcoin is moving. I have the chart open over here. Just quickly, as I said, the weekly candle close. There will be a little less than 20 hours left until the weekly candle close when this movie goes live. The weekly candle close, which will be the most important one right now, is coming up in less than 24 hours. Why? Because it will be the biggest weekly candle close in Bitcoin history. Also, the weekly candle close will be the most strong we've seen on Bitcoin so far. The question now is whether we can get that candle to close over 120K. That being said, I hope we see that it will be very strong, and it's not even 120K, that's about 119.6K. We're going to watch that. I'll let you know what's going on in tomorrow's movie once the candle is out. Still, if we look at a shorter time frame like the 3-day, we can see where the resistance is, right? It's now at 123.34K. Even if we get that weekly candle close, it will still be very bullish, but it won't be an instant candle to 130K. There are still some important steps we need to pass. Last but not least, I would like to see a little more than just a close over the candle body ends. I'd like to see us go over 123,600. Besides that, if you look at it on a daily basis, like where we are trading now, there isn't a crazy amount of resistance. This is a bit smaller time frame structure, like 12-hour or 4-hour. Even though those time frames aren't very important, they do help us figure out where there is some pushback. We can see that there isn't a crazy amount of resistance around these levels if we look at the 12-hour chart. Now that we're at about the 4-hour mark though, let me just zoom out. We could see that we were trading near wicks since August 11th, which did act as support. We were able to sell off into 118K. If I were to look at Bitcoin right now, I think we'll sell off into the low $120,000 range to fill in this 4-hour gap before we get that extension. But this is where Bitcoin will be weakest. We need to get out of this red zone if we want to see it. So we need to be a little careful until we do. There's no point in getting too excited about this. Just say, okay, well, yeah, I'm very bullish. I'm going to buy everything because I think we're going to keep going up from here. No, we need to see proof of that. This is also why I've always said it's okay to buy a little higher, right? What does it matter if we get that clear proof and have to buy more? It's better than running after a falling knife and hoping the best. The most important thing is that we're still in a bullish pattern. There's no reason for me to worry about this. Yes, we are running into some pushback here. There may be a small drop in prices, but I've seen a lot of people trying to call the start of the bear market. The top is on. That is just something that I believe is very risky at this point in time for Ethereum. Once more, Ethereum is kind of in the same spot as Bitcoin. We're in this wedge. We're still waiting for this chart to be proven. Still, we want to make a higher high, so we need a weekly candle to close above, say, 4,600. That strong turnaround now will be a great start for Ethereum until then. It looks like this thing is only going to chop a little more, which means that we might see a little more chop this week. I know this makes a lot of people sad. We'll have to wait another week. We only look at what's in front of us though. On this chart, we still can see that we haven't made any rising structures yet. There is still this low point down here, which is a lower low, and we are making lower highs. That's why we want this chart's higher high to be broken. On this chart too, we want to see a higher low, so Ethereum stays in a neutral state until then. XRP isn't going down, it's just not going up either. Once more, there has been no real change in XRP. Right now, we do have a higher low. I'd love for us to keep doing this every week, and at the end of the week, I'd hate for us to lose $2.86, so we should keep this up. If we don't, we should aim for this level further down between about $2.30 and $2.60, but I really think we'll be able to hold this higher low. I'd also love to see the weekly candle close above $3.04. That's a good place to begin. In the weeks above, from September 8th to September 15th, it would make that higher high structure. That's a good start. We might be able to find support at this level, and then we might be able to gain some speed against some of these new highs, such as $3.20 and $3.47, which is the highest point on this chart right now. Once that is broken, we'll go to $4 extra. But again, until then, we need to keep our attention on these other important levels and not get too ahead of ourselves. But recently, major media did start to talk a little bit about Bitcoin in terms of the market as a whole. I always take things like this with a grain of salt. Again, I agree that when mass media starts to talk about crypto, especially in a positive way, it does mean that we are getting closer to a top. I feel like we're getting close to a top. To be clear, Bitcoin has been around for a long time. Here, though, the Bitcoin picture makes a very clear case for going up. A report from CNBC says that Bitcoin often makes new all-time highs in the fourth quarter. Let me say this now. Okay, CNBC is right.